Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of a Naijaman's Perspective. I hope everyone's doing well. I've got my very good friend in the house today, Ken. Ken, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just great, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'll just have a brief introduction of myself, Ken. I've known my friend Naijaman for getting to donkey years, almost 2 decades now, seriously. But it's all good. It's good seeing him again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken. And thanks for spending the time to come and talk about this particular topic. So today, guys, the world every day, different news. We don't even know, man, Ken, we didn't even know which one to pick, but the Diddy case is absolutely huge, and I think this has capacity to run legs for quite some time. So of course, what we're talking about the Diddy case with respect to his arrest. So Diddy was arrested a few days back, and he was arrested a few days back. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see it. So, yeah, the latest news is that he's been put on suicide watch, but he was arrested a few days back by the authorities with regards to some civil lawsuits that were filed a few months ago, accusing him of sexual abuse over the last year, and now he's in detention. He was trying to get bail of up to $50 million. The judge said, "No, we're not. Your money's not good here. You are not going to get bail because these are grave charges." And the counts that he's been charged of, there are three major counts, and I'd like to point out that he's still innocent till proven guilty, but the counts are grave. So the first count is on racketeering conspiracy. The second count, if I just quickly scroll down below, everyone stay with us. The second count is on sex trafficking by force or cohesion, and the third count is on transportation to engage in prostitution. So, Ken, what are your thoughts? You and I grew up. Didi is a monster. And I'm not talking about monster in the evil sense. We'll get back to that. But monster in terms of is pretty much every single thing he's touched is turned to gold. He started hustling as an intern in,
Yep.
I think, Interscope Records years ago. Was like a 20-year-old, 19-year-old, I can't remember. And he rose up to the ranks, started his own company. Late Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci at some point. He's brought out so many
Mace.
acts from music. He went into TV with Revolt. He did media, Ciroc. He did fashion with Sean John, colognes. He's a billionaire in dollars. He's just 54 years old. Black man, extremely successful in the United States. Ken, take it away.
Yeah, thanks for this introduction of the great Puff Daddy. I want to go back to what he was before Puff Daddy. Back in the 90s,
Mhm.
back in the early 90s when he came on game, when he came onto the game,
Yeah.
and he has really done a lot. He's really influenced the musical scene, especially on the East Coast of the United States. But there's one thing that has always been known. He's been known as a
Mm.
bad boy of the East Coast, you know. And I don't want to start going into the great beef between the East and the West back in the day that consequently led to the death of Tupac and Biggie.
Yep.
That's basically now. But something tells me, without a doubt, behind the meteoric rise of Puff Daddy, that's
Mm.
always been a dark lining, a dark shadow behind it.
Mm.
That's why I'm talking as a perspective of someone who has been in the musical scene for a long time.
Mm.
I've always I've always heard that little information about how he treated his artist in his record
Yep.
on his record. I've always heard it, In fact, one of the greatest one that happened when he was dating Jennifer Lopez, J Lo,
Hmm.
back in the 90s, late 90s. And also there was in fact the thing that made J Lo to break up with him was the attack at the club when he was hanging out with him back in the 90s. That was a really critical moment. It was a big gunshot, bullets flying, all that, not just physical acculturation, it was a gunfight at that club.
Hmm.
And J Lo got scared for her life and broke up with Puff Daddy. Now, fact was that I've always been, since that time, I knew that something was there because
Hmm.
people just don't attack you with a gun just because they don't like you. You must have really, really pissed some folks off.
Yes.
And J-Lo didn't want anything to be part of that. Anyway, after that attack, Puff Daddy went behind the scene. Just around that was the turn of the century anyway. He went more behind the scene, was still producing artists, was still pulling the strings, was still making money for Bad Boy Records and all that. As you actually pointed out earlier, he got involved in other businesses like his Sean John label, his alcohol labels, his perfumes, everything. As you say, anything he touched on to gold. That was
Hmm.
great. That was great. That was a fact. However, there was still that dark lining. I still get those snippets of information of something was not right.
Hmm.
Now, in the music scene, everybody knows that the music business is I will frank, it's a gangster business. It's gangster business. Given a choice, if I had a choice between if I was to be in the entertainment industry, music or movies, is safer to be in the movie business than be in the music business. That is,
Wow.
it is safer. I will use the word safer
Hmm.
because I'm yet to hear of any movie artist, that got shot up or gang banged or got killed. I always hear about music artists that got killed, that got shot up, that got gang banged, and all this kind of stuff, but never movie stars. Never. But anyway, that's a different line of thought. So now we always know Puff Daddy or Sean Puffy Combs to be in the music business, and for you to hold forth there, you must have done some really crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff. Now, I would say New York, we know as New York is a big apple. People you see that run things behind the scene are not normal. It's been
Hmm.
there for ages, for back in for almost 100 years. And I mean, back in the days of when Italian immigrants came to the city and formed the mafia, the five families in the various boroughs of New York and stuff like that. We always know that where there's money, there's gonna be some organized stuff. And for you to really play big in that game, you really need to have some real backup. You can't be doing big stuff and growing big in New York. There's no level playing field in such a scenario. You need backup.
In New
Now,
York.
in New York, at least, not generally in the music scene, you need backup, fact. But in New York itself, you definitely need serious backup. That's New York. Yes, that's
Hmm.
New York. If I mean, it's all like Donald Trump started his construction business in New York, and before he blew over to United States, his father was a big boy in New York. And for
Yep.
you to do construction in the United States, in New York especially, you need the support of the mafia. Fact. If you don't have the mafia behind you, you're not getting any job done. You can't get anything done. But that is for construction. Same thing applies for the music scene. Behind the scene, there are strings, there are powers that are behind the scene, giving Puffy that leverage, giving him that support.
So
Now, something has gone wrong.
so who are these powers? And what do you think went wrong? Because I mean, thanks for giving us like a background. I like what you said. You weaved it from the J Lo period to what's happening now, and you gave a couple of examples with Trump as well, and especially you're focusing on New York. I'm familiar with the five families, etc. So what went wrong? He's gone to the top now. He's presumably used influence from other sources to get to the top. Now he's gotten to the top. What went wrong, in your view?
He got greedy.
Wake it up.
He got greedy.
He got greedy.
That summarize it. He stopped paying respect. That's my own summary. He stopped paying respect. There's been complaints. Many artists have complained. And many artists have complained. And at times, even from back in the days,
Locks.
Even from Mace, his most popular artist he ever played with, Mace, has complained about him. But of course, nobody took Mace serious, you know. That was back when he still had the power and was still growing. Mace complained. Other subsequent artists complained. I've heard of, now, I'll be honest, I've heard of the video he took of some artists while having, I'll call it homosexual intercourse with them. And he made a video of it and used that as just a blackmail on them. I heard about that. I've not seen the video, I'll be honest, I've not seen the video, but I heard about it. And he really got into stuff that he shouldn't have, I'll be honest. And he did so many things that he didn't have the support of his backers. Now, without a doubt, as I said earlier, his backers. I cannot name names, because if you dig deep enough, you will know. That'd be like, oh, I'm having a conspiracy theory about it. But the fact that before you can do big stuff or grow big in New York and in the music scene especially, you need to have backers. And as far as I'm concerned, he got greedy. He got too big for his boots. Because he's not the first person who has had the support of backers. But as long as you keep yourself on a low profile, you pay your dues, you pay the respect to the right folks, you'll be covered. He's doing so many things, and now he's lost his covering. They've now hugged him dry and chucked him to the dogs. Now, everybody's familiar with the video of when he was kicking his girlfriend up and down. To me, that's unwarranted attention. That was unwarranted. That was not necessary. Now, it was captured for everybody to see. And there's a limit to what your backers can cover.
I'm showing it on the for the viewers to see. Graphic footage.
It's crazy.
I'm just gonna pause it here because it's quite graphic. But go on.
There's a limit to what your backers can cover you up for. There's a limit. And now, whether you like it or not, the chicken has come home to roost. They just cannot condone it. They've now said, "You, dude, you've done yourself in. You've got to face the music." And from what I could see, that Puffy actually had the ability to leave the country, United States, and at least save himself for some time. But his assets most of his assets are tied to the United States. He has to come back to get his money.
This is it
now. So he cannot do without his money. You know, his assets are frozen. Assets are tied to the United States. He has to come back, and now technically he's going to lose his freedom. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I don't know what will happen, but if Puffy should sing, or there's a tendency for him to sing, that'll be his end.
So when you said there's a tendency, sorry to cut you short, when you said there's a tendency for him to sing, are you suspecting what is on a lot of people's minds, that these charges, these counts that I mentioned earlier, the one on racketeering, which are the RICO charges, the one on transportation, and the last one I talked about as well, which is the sex trafficking one, are you saying that he's not alone and there's a tendency for him to sing?
You can't do such a thing.
There are other people that are in this mess. He's not alone.
It's not alone. You can't do that alone. You can't. Fact.
Of this scale, this magnitude that they are alleging, right?
No, it's too big. You can't run this alone. You can't run this alone at all. It's too big for him. And He has to have collaboration. And I said, when you're doing such things in New York, man, New York is too, it's too country. The powers in New York is not puffy. New York is like New York is like a big fish bowl. There's nothing you can do in New York and do it that big that people are not, the eyes that are on New York are not seeing. Everybody's eyes on New York. And you're doing this kind of stuff and nobody's seeing you. And I know Puff is a guy from the streets. Fine. But this is the big street. You're doing stuff with the big boys. Man, you can't do such a thing without backup. And the fact that we are hearing about these charges, which technically I have no doubt they are true. Okay, sorry. That though is, as you said earlier, he's guilty. Sorry, he's innocent of proven guilty.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is this: they are true. And because
all of them, when you say true, do you mean all the charges, or do you think at least one of the charges? Because there are 3 counts.
At least one of the charges.
At
and
least
one of the charges. And the fact is that I don't know now. Fact, I've not checked the punishment for such charges. That's the thing. The full
that was released. I think on one of them, the maximum I think is life on the RICO charges, and the other 2 I can't remember which one. One is a maximum of 10 years. The other one is a maximum of 15 years. But the RICO charges are like the biggest one, which are the racketeering one. That's the one where they are alleging that he's using his enterprise to cover up his sexual activities. And the whole that's where the whole baby oil thing came out, and painting this picture that he's using this as a camouflage.
Well, those ones, as you said earlier, the punishment for that, if the prosecuting team get the acts in order, get the evidences all lined up, and go after him for the full extent of the law in terms of punishment, he may actually go away for a long time. Now, the thing is that he may cut himself a deal because, as I said earlier, he was not acting alone. He's not doing all that stuff alone. And if he intends to pull some people down with him, then we've got a problem. He's got a problem. Not me, we've got a problem. He's got a problem.
Ken hasn't got a problem.
I ain't got a problem.
So Ken, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
How does this differ from the Epstein case?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. The Epstein case is all lined up, the same time as the Epstein case. Epstein was going to sing, and he got taken out. Facts. Everybody knows that. He was going to sing. He was trying to cut himself a deal. And for him to cut himself a deal, he got to sing. Now, is Sean going to cut himself a deal? I don't know. But if he's smart enough and wants to stay alive, he better not cut himself a deal. Take it like a strong man, like a fall guy, and go for the full extent of the law. 20 years, 30 years, whatever whatever they prosecute him with, whatever they sentence him with, he goes down. But if he's looking at to cut himself a deal, thereby snitching, betraying his sponsors, Epstein case will be the next. He'll be the next Epstein case.
So he might not be with us. The scenario is like
he's already on suicide watch list. He's already on suicide watch list.
He's already on the suicide watch list, yes.
So fact is that, yep, he's going to be another Epstein case. He's going to take him out, silence him, wipe him off the face of the earth, so that those who have got the power can stay protected. So as I said earlier, you can't do such a thing for so long in New York, especially. United States is one thing. Then in New York, of all places, for so long now, people are watching.
No, thank you very much, Ken. I mean,
people have got your back. People are protecting you. Why would head of him dance? Because if watch his hands off him and say, "Boy, you're your own." Now the law is after him, and the law. Yeah,
I have a couple of more questions as we close. Been a really interesting conversation. Is there any chance that Diddy beats this? That is found not guilty of all counts, meaning The prosecution, like you said, I know you're laughing, meaning the prosecution, as you said, fumble it, or they are not able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that is guilty of all three counts. People are saying it's very, very, very going. It's going to be very impossible to even come up with that scenario because it took them 6 months from when they raided his houses in March to when they arrested him in September. And they've had 6 months to prepare. They've had 6 months to check what was there. They've had 6 months to do cross-checking. They've had 6 months to get witnesses. So is there any scenario, knowing the kind of lawyers that this man can afford with his net worth, which you talked about the other day, is $1 billion in dollars? Of course, you know, nobody's money is, well, quote unquote, supposed to be above the law.
That's
And
right.
these are criminal charges, not civil in nature. Do you
That's
think there's
right.
any scenario that he beats it, or do you think this one is almost lock stock?
Facts, let's put it this way. You know, there is I use the word that's I believe in miracles.
Hmm.
I believe in miracles, but I mean, when I remember O.J. Simpson, who remembers O.J. Simpson 1994? Who
Yeah,
remembers that?
I
Good.
do.
1994, O.J. Simpson murder trial. It just takes one little fumble by the prosecution witness, and you can tear the case apart. Now, I don't know the details of the evidence or what the defense will come up with against the prosecuting team. But if there was any way the defense can tear down the evidence, or if there's any way the iota of doubt can be cast on the prosecution team and the evidence by the defending team, trust me, and that is brought up by that is brought up to the jury. Trust me, that's a miracle that will happen to Sean Puffy and Combs. And another thing is
okay.
that
Please
kind of
continue.
thing is going to cost him a lot of money.
Hmm.
It's going to cost him a lot of money to get that kind of defense team all organized. But at the end of the day, he gets his freedom. That kind of miracle that will save him. But trust me, it's just only for a short time. Maybe for this particular case, he will escape. But subsequent ones, because the law prosecution team will keep going after him until they tear him down. O.J. Simpson escaped the criminal case. They filed him with a civil case. They kept after him until he finally passed away just a few years back. He never became what he was before, which was a top American footballer that he was back in the day. But yeah, that's a miracle that could happen. The way there's a loophole can be torn in the in the prosecution's team's case and evidence. It's possible, it costs a lot of money.
But unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. Okay,
Possible, yeah.
So I mean, we've talked about a lot of themes. I've talked about his his rise to fame. You talked about greed. I'd like to just add one more thing. From my opinion, he got arrogant. He got to a point
Sorry,
where
he never got. He has always been arrogant.
Oh, he's always been arrogant.
He has always been arrogant. It's a fact.
Even back then.
Back in the day, in the 90s, that's one thing I really. Sorry, I mean, I'm not a fan of his, I'll be honest. But back in the day,
it's always been arrogant. Yes. I think Ken, you're right there. But now arrogance, and now you now have that power and that wealth. Like, you know how you're layering blocks. So it's the fame, is the money, is the influence, is the. I mean, he was even wearing hats, like the kind of hat I'm wearing. Vote for America for the Democrats. The Democrats used him in New York in the Hillary Clinton campaign, if you remember. He was saying vote or die. I can't remember. He was running marathons and everything, and it was working for the Democratic Party. So he had influence that ran across different multiple entities and areas. It wasn't just music. But I think we should just leave this one here. It's an interesting case, and I think it's one that's going to run for some months. So one more question before we wrap up, Ken. Some people are saying this is a distraction because of the upcoming US presidential elections that's taking place in November. And I know this is going into conspiracy theory land. But I must ask the question because people are saying, why now? Why September? Now it's going to take focus away. Now, in the last couple of days, no one has talked about Trump or Kamala, and this is going to take distraction. You know, you will always have things like that when something huge is about to happen, and another story comes, and people say this is a distraction. What are your thoughts on that?
Americans know where to put their priorities, right? You know, I mean, Trump is a bigger problem than Sean Puffy Combs to the United States political system, and I'll be shocked if the political media or the political mainstream media don't focus. I mean, the fact he's arrested now, he's in chains and all of that. I mean, it's only going to be fair. It's only going to be around for a couple of. I mean, this focus will be there for a couple of weeks, maximum, before attention shifts back to the elections and what's really happening, because that one is much more impactful to not just to America but to the whole world. That will decide. I mean, I don't know if you heard recently what's happened, that we almost went to nuclear frenzy recently because we're about to send British missiles over to be used by the Ukrainians against Moscow, and Moscow.
I like that. I like that. I think we should pick that in a separate episode.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on the Diddy case as we close?
Well, the Diddy case is, well, I mean, hold on to your seats, grab your popcorn, grab your Coke, sit down and watch the trial, enjoy it. If you can record it, please do record it and go over it from time to time if you're going to be focused on what happens to PDD. But bottom line is that, he's going down. He's going down, but he should be, if he's going to come out alive, he better not take anybody with him. He should just go down like a man. He's done the wrong stuff. He just go down like a man, and let's not take anyone with him. That's all.
Thank you so much, Ken. I also saw that disturbing video. I showed the still footage earlier in this episode. Really, really graphic stuff, and the law is going to take its course. And I hope the right outcome is the one that comes out when this trial finishes. If you're new to my channel, you're watching this video for the first time, give us a big fat like, and also share this to as many people as possible, and do subscribe. Ken, I hope that you will come back for more interview sessions. I enjoyed this. It was very refreshing views, and I mean, there's so many things we can talk about, to be honest. So do come again, and guys, again, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
My pleasure being here with you, Ade, and hopefully I look forward to being here again in the future. Take care, everyone.
Cheers,
Much respect.
Cheers.